This Hangout on Air is live. Welcome, everyone, to our Nashville recap. So excited that everyone could join us. We have some awesome Cincy folks. I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself. I'll start with you, Emma, and then you can hand the baton off to whoever's next.
Okay. My name is Emma, and I'm a store consultant with Sensi. This was my first family reunion. I just joined in November, and we have some awesome things to share with you tonight. Next is Wenda.
I am Wenda Tucker. I am a superstar consultant. Been in the business for 5 years, and I'm very excited about everything that we picked up from the Cincy family reunion. How about you, Ivory?
Well, I'm Ivory Gilcher from Southeast Texas. I am a superstar consultant on my way to being director, and you like that, huh? And I'm very excited to share with you my experiences in Nashville. I had a great time and took away a lot of great things. So, Erin, I think you're next.
Hi guys, I'm Erin Brown. I am director for Team Hustle and Heart, and I'm really excited to talk about Nashville because it was a really interesting experience as a director with people going for the first time. I can't tell you how many people kept asking me questions, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm new too. So I had a really good time, and I'm excited to share that with you guys.
So I just realized that 3 of the 5 of us, yes. Two of us, this is our first time. So Erin and Emma, this is your first time, and Ivory and Wenda and I have been before. So that's a pretty good mix, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm interested. So it felt like my first reunion too, because in the past they've always followed the same formula. So there's always this, right, Wenda? So there was always the same schedule. We always did everything the same way. And this year they shook it up. They turned it on its head, and I personally feel like it was great results. Like this was my favorite reunion ever of all time, 100%. Yeah, and everyone's favorite reunion is always their first. I mean, if you talk to anyone, they will always say that their first reunion was their favorite. But I think this one might have topped the first for mostly everyone. So I'll start. I got there on Monday and registered, and I had every intention of getting registered and just finding a place where I could sit and everyone could just come over and say hi as they got in. And I knew a lot of people were arriving on Monday, but it took me so long to walk down the hall because you run into everyone you know, and you stop and you chat and you miss everyone and all the hugs and all the snuggles. And these are just people that I've met. Most of them weren't on our team. They were just consultants that I've met through the years at these events or at other Cincy events, and it was just, God bless you, Ivory.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. It takes like 3 times as long to get anywhere because you're so busy like stopping and seeing friends. And I think that really spoke to my husband because I'm chatty anyway. Like when we go somewhere, I'm usually the chatty one, but he's like, I've never seen it this bad before. And so it was just seeing it through his eyes and having him react to it, and I was like, yeah, I guess through the years we have gotten to know a lot of people. So that was my biggest surprise for Monday. My second biggest surprise was, again, how they did it differently than in the past. I didn't wait in line at all to register. So in the past, we've waited in lines. That's okay. We've waited in lines to register. We were in and out of registration. It was almost like, what now? Like, I got registered for the 5K and for Cincy Family Reunion faster than I would in the past than I have for just reunion. It was amazing. Amazing that they could get that many people in and out efficiently. It was eye-opening. So by the time we got done saying hi to everyone and getting the show on the road, it was time for Cincy to take us off to our leadership dinner, which was pretty cool. What did you think about that, Erin?
I really liked it. I thought it was a really neat way to see, like, I'm gonna use the word.
Ivory. Look at Ivory's lip.
Next year, Ivory. It was a really cool way to see your, like, starstruck people being real people. Like, I don't know how many of you guys watched trainings, but, you know, like, I walked up and introduced myself to Christina Stainbrook in a very, like, natural way as opposed to, like, her being on a stage or she was just sitting there eating dinner just like we were. So I thought it was a really neat experience because it gave you a chance to mingle and chat with not only the directors on our team that we'd already know, but other directors and other superstar directors that maybe you wouldn't have that opportunity to do so otherwise.
And the home office, right?
And home office staff, yeah. And Orville gave me a hug because Jess Gertie threw me at him.
I heard about that.
Otherwise, I would have shyly stalked myself in the other direction.
Wait, I don't know that story. Tell me.
Oh, gosh. So we're walking in, and her and Marlena, I think that's her name. I'm sorry, I can't remember. The girl with the boot. Yeah, they were going and hugging Heidi and Orville, and I tried to scooch in the back and just kind of do my thing, and Jess Gertie was like, wait a minute, you didn't say hi to Orville. I'm like, oh, I've never met Orville, and she quickly was like, what? And then she's like, you're going to meet him right now, and she threw me at him, and I was like,
Hi.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Erin. He's like, don't be shy. I'm like, I'm shy with everyone. It's not you. Don't take it personally.
It's not you, it's me.
So I got to meet Orville, and he was very friendly, and we took a very candid photo while I was awkwardly turning red. So.
Aww.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that they kicked off the night with a speech. They kind of shared what we were in store for, a little bit about Nashville. They even had a music producer recruiter type lady, and I couldn't hear her so well, so I feel like I missed out on what she had to say. But she basically, from what I understand from other people, is she shared a lot of being yourself and staying true to who you are and not trying to go with the crowd and continuing to be that awkward girl who meets Orville Thompson, and that's what makes you great, and that's what makes you stand out. And the thing that I did hear her say was the more you try to homogenize, the more you blend in with the crowd. And that's it, right? Like, the thing that makes you special is not something you should change. So just the first thing in the week that made me have an aha moment was that little bit that I hear. I didn't hear her whole speech. I couldn't hear. It was loud in there. But that one little thing that I heard stuck true to me, and I typed it in my phone in my notes section because I wanted to remember that, and I wanted to reflect back on that when I got home. So it was very interesting when later on in the weekend, I'll tell you about that, the same topic came up, and it was very touching. So, and then they got us out on the dance floor, and we did some country line dancing.
No, you did some country line dancing. I did not do some country line.
Not at all. You were
That
out
was
there.
evident, Erin, on Thursday night. I'm just saying.
Ah.
I'm kidding.
Oh,
I love you, Erin.
There was no liquid courage on Monday, so.
Oh, there you go. So Monday night was kind of a late night for us. We got back around 10, and we had all intentions of kind of doing a live broadcast as a group of leaders, but at that point the party hadn't really kicked into gear. We were mingling, but it wasn't like enough nuggets to come on live and share with everyone. So we opted to skip out of that for then. And then the week just got like super busy, right? I don't know about for you guys. So Tuesday morning, everyone woke up and they did the 5K, except for me. I slept in. I did not do the 5K. But there was the 5K on Tuesday morning, which I hear was awesome. Who wants to talk about the 5K?
Erin should, because she actually ran the 5K.
Did you run the whole thing, Erin?
I ran the 5K plus, yeah. So
the 5K plus.
Yeah.
Plus the extra hill.
Yes, there is this giant hill during the 5K, the 5K was fantastic. I thought it was really great. They pumped us up. They got us started. It was really amazing to see everybody there being active. They did some jokes like, who's actually running? And I think like 4 people raised their hand. So it really goes to show that even if you're not a runner, even if you don't think you can even, you can run a 5K or jog a 5K, still do the 5K because it was just a really like big camaraderie thing. So there was this giant hill in the 5K, and me and Jamie like trucked up this hill. And I mean, I was tired. I'm like, it is 100 degrees and it is 100% humidity. This hill was awful. It was probably like a third of a mile up, a third of a mile down. We get to the top and there's this kind of like cop, like the kind you imagine eating a donut. And he's like, want to know a secret? You didn't have to run the hill. And we're like, yeah, okay. Well, the secret was real. So I am sprinting it out at 2.5 miles. I'm like, when's it going to end? When's it going to end? It ended around 4 miles because the 5K was not including the hill. So a lot of people actually got redirected. I guess they figured out people were messing this up and they redirected them. But I was part of the lucky few who got to.
Because you rocked that much.
Apparently you guys were running and waving to me at some point when I was running, but I didn't even see you because I was just so I'm gonna die zone.
Trying to focus.
No, I totally did. I saw you and I was like, yeah, go here. You were like, yeah, you were in that I'm in that last 100 meters. I'm going.
But I wasn't. I was not in the last.
No, you were at that point when I saw you. You were. You were at the finish line almost.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah, but I was proud of you because I still had half of the thing to go. I was she's finishing and I'm just getting started.
Well, thank you. But it was definitely incredible to see everybody out there that early in the morning.
Yes, it was amazing. So the reason why I skipped the 5K was because I had another training that I had to get to, and I just didn't know that I had the endurance to do all of that. Because, as everyone heard all week long, I am almost 40. So.
Wow. 25.
So I skipped the 5K. Oh, come on, Linda. You weren't out there doing the 5K?
I know my boundaries, dear.
Exactly. That's how I felt this year.
I know my boundaries.
Last year I did the 5K in Vegas, and it was awesome. I was glad I did it, but it was at night.
Right.
So I felt like that was almost better for me because I wasn't too worried about tuckering myself out for the night. And I'm not a marathon runner like some Aaron's in this group. What else?
Finisher. Marathon finisher. Yeah.
Well, so, I have to say something about the 5K. So I've never done a 5K before. This is my very first 5K, first organized run event ever, which I really didn't even want to do because I hate running and running hates me. But I saw how much fun everybody had last year in Vegas, and I didn't want to miss out this year. So I told myself I'm going to sign up for it. By 4, 3, 2, 1, I clicked the button and I did it, right? And I signed up. And I woke up that morning still not wanting to do it. In fact, I think subconsciously my body was trying to get me out of it by forgetting my tennis shoes at home. And I had to go out and buy tennis shoes at the mall the night before the run because I had to have shoes. I'm not running barefoot, although that sounds fantastic.
In the 100-degree heat. Yeah.
But it was my very first 5K, and I couldn't imagine doing a 5K any other way. Right. There were so many people that I knew. I don't think I could ever get a group of people that I know and love organized enough together to go do a run, and most of us, for the most part, stay together. Those overachievers, they like to leave you in the dust. No, I'm just kidding. But I couldn't imagine doing another a 5K any other way. I don't think if I ever did a 5K, just with me and a couple of my girlfriends here in Southeast Texas, I don't think I would have as much fun. I don't think I would enjoy it as much because I had my friends with me. And it wasn't just one or two of my friends. It was an entire sea of support, everybody cheering you on, come on guys, we got this. And we were yelling Cincy Spirit the whole way, and as hot and tired as we were still yelling Cincy Spirit, even though we didn't really want to yell Cincy Spirit. We were doing it because we were all feeding off of each other. So I couldn't imagine doing it any other way. It was by far an awesome experience for me.
I think that's a metaphor kind of for what the whole week was, the test of endurance that it takes. Because while the week was tough and grueling, and right before we started, we were all talking about how so very tired we were this morning, it was so worth it, and we got through it because we had each other. And it was tough and grueling in the best sort of way. We went through a whole roller coaster of emotions. We learned about ourselves. We learned about our business. We learned about the people around us, and it was just something that makes your heart swell. So we'll talk about that. I'm getting ahead of myself. So Tuesday after I ran the 5K and swam 6 laps.
And did the plus hill.
Yes, and did the the 5K plus, and no, or I slept in. They had a special training for star directors and superstar directors. And basically it was a day where they focused on millennials and letting us know what separates the millennials from us and where their mindset is. So there was a lot of graphs and charts, which they're going to provide for us later, but we don't have for just yet. So I had my husband kind of go over this part with me because he was really interested in this part because we have a 20-year-old son, and he was feeling it, and I was kind of talking to some of my friends, so I wasn't paying very close attention. But so he said that there are some differences that make millennials different. There are some differences that make millennials perfect for direct sales marketing. While they do you guys even know what a millennial is? Do you know what the age range is?
No, but it's probably me.
It goes to 35, doesn't it? Which is crazy to me because I don't put myself in that category. But maybe I am. Maybe I am.
Yeah, we are, Erin. We're in that category.
But
20 to 36. Yeah.
I feel like when I think millennial, I think like crop top, high-waisted, head in their cell phone all the time. Not me.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, that's kind of what they talked about. Like, what is your vision of what a millennial is? And they did like a survey, like, what do you think millennials focus on? What do you think that they want out of life? What do you think are their top priorities? And they kind of gave us some choices. And the interesting thing was, they said they did the quiz for millennials, and then they did a quiz for yourself, which a lot of the people in there were millennials. But and the results showed that pretty much it was all the same across the board. They're family focused. Their first priority is raising good children and having a spouse who supports them. Those were and a spouse that they could support. So that was their two top, which was the two top across the board for every generation, which was pretty interesting when they had things in there like playing video games and music and online shopping, which is where I think a lot of people put these millennials, like underestimating what their goals were. The difference, though, is that there's a swing in popularity of unconventional jobs and services like Uber and OrderUp and Airbnb. That millennials they prefer careers that are often more flexible and careers that are mobile and allow employees to change their hours, and that's and careers, and he didn't put this part, but I remember them saying careers where there was where you're recognized, careers where you have the opportunity to shine, and that makes Scentsy and direct sales in general perfect for this group of people who are coming up. And right now they are obviously the fastest growing population. So they said by 2025 or something, they are going to take over 75% of the job force. 75%. So, that's who we should be focusing our business on. Those are the people that we want on our teams. Those are the people that we want to nurture. So we literally spent 8 hours talking about millennials and how they can work for our business. So after that...
Hey, Casey, I have a question about that really quick.
Yeah.
Did they play a parody video song on millennials for you?
No. Is that a fun one?
Yeah. Okay. So it went viral. It was a video that went viral a couple months back. But I had the guy that does the singing. He's actually a Christian singer, and is signed with a record company in Nashville. But anyway, his son was in my classroom 2 years ago. He was in my class, so I got to work with this gentleman quite frequently. But anyway, his song on millennials is spot on, and I want to share it. So is it okay if I post it to the page?
Yes, please do. Yeah, please do. I'm interested to see it and to see kind of.
You're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh. It's really funny.
With the Vanderbilt, so that was Vanderbilt. The professors from Vanderbilt came in to teach Scentsy leaders, which is pretty amazing that they shelled out the money and used their resources to bring in those great people to train us. So after that, then we had general session. And one of my favorite parts about this was that we all gathered as a big group and we walked down together. So Jess Grody made us a sign and we followed her sign. And you guys look through the pictures that I posted, you'll see that there's a lot of that sign. It was kind of the star of the show for those first couple of days and helping to get everyone together. It was huge. So it was really cool for me, like when we were gathering, and I don't know if you guys can say the same, but we were gathering with this big group of people who, a lot of these people I had never met before, but I felt like I knew them already because we've connected so much online. Like, and this happened to me last year when I met Ivory in Vegas. She's like, I'm so happy that I finally get to meet you, and I was like, but we already know each other. Like, I didn't even realize that we hadn't met in person before, which is pretty stinking amazing to me. And like Emma and Wenda, they don't live that far away. They're just like an hour or two away in opposite directions, but it's the same thing. Like I think the only time I see you guys is just at Scentsy events. So it's just like really, really cool to actually get to hug people and smell their hair. That's not creepy. Right?
Well, that's like when I first met with you guys on Monday, and I like didn't even say hi to Ivory. Like I just didn't.
We just saw each other in June.
Yeah, so like we met for real in Disney, so that was cool. But then I just didn't feel like I needed to be like, hey, oh my gosh, it's so sad to meet you, because we talk all the time. So I feel like
right.
I see you daily.
You really hurt my feelings, Emma.
I'm sorry, Ivory.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So from there we headed over to general session, which OMG, I used all of my tissues on the first night. I started when the music started. So if anybody knows me, you know that I'm a music girl. I love music. I love dancing. I'm not good at either one of them, but I love them. I feel it. Songs give me goosebumps. If you say, if there's a question, what makes you cry, it's going to be music, 100%. So they started with this musical number. It was a mix of country music, a choir, a rapper, and a full-on band. And I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Like, I was just so touched. I was crying just from the music, like just getting it going. And the tears did not stop from there. Like, it was insane. Like, Erin and I were sitting next to each other, and at some point, like, we both looked at each other and were like, this is ridiculous. Like, we can't even anymore. It was so touching. Like, everything was so touching. So they, and Ivory, I know we weren't sitting next to each other, but I knew what you were going through. So Ivory and I both lost our moms. Ivory more recently than me, and then Heidi lost her mom, and so they were talking a lot about how much of an effect Alice, who was Heidi's mom, had on the business, and how she got them started and how she inspired them. And they showed a video of her when she was in her last days, and she had brain cancer, so she wasn't all the way there, but she wasn't stringing together words at that point, but they showed a video where she just shared her love for her grandchildren. And even in her last days when nothing was working right, she was able to summon up the wherewithal to be able to share that. So it was pretty touching. I mean, I don't know how it could have been any better. So I
had to go to the bathroom to collect myself after Heidi's speech because I was so emotional.
Yeah. I mean, even before Heidi's speech, right? Like, even just when they were talking about the Shining Star, and for those of you guys who don't know it, Shining Star is the highest award that you can earn in Scentsy. And it's not an award that you get for recruiting. It's not a reward that you get for sales. It's a reward that you get for giving more than you take. It's a reward that you get for helping out fellow consultants and helping out your community. And what happens is customers write in, people on your team write in, people within Scentsy who aren't on your team, they write in and they share a letter or note about why you're so awesome. And 5 people are nominated, and so they announce those those nominations. And leading up to this, there was a lot of talk about not having a shining star this year, and just giving Alice the award because she had touched so many lives. So instead of doing that, what they did was they renamed the Shining Star Award after her. So which is really amazing. And then
Say
we were
her
all,
last name, Alice.
oh, why do you?
Because
You
I
notice
can't ever say it right, and I want to
I
be able to say it right.
I'd have to look it up phonetically because I personally didn't know Alice. It's a Hawaiian name. Her husband Fred was from Hawaii.
Okay,
So,
that
yeah,
makes more sense.
yeah. So they went from there into Heidi's speech. And Ivory, I know you were super touched by Heidi's keynote, so I'm going to let you take it from there.
Oh, man. I don't have tissues by me. Please, my blanket. Okay, so like Casey said, before we went into the speech with Heidi, I knew the backstory with Alice, and I had heard everything that had been going on, and I'd been following Alice's story, partly because everybody loves Heidi, and they care about her and her well-being and her family, and Alice was such a big part of the original Scentsy story, and also partly I followed that because it was so near to the same experience I had with my mother. Um, my mom had been diagnosed with cancer, and when she found out, she was at stage 4, and she already had tumors in her brain and on her spine and spots in her bone and on her liver. It was everywhere. So she was eaten up with it. But my mom was very much the type of person that um, was sometimes overly optimistic. And I think the whole experience when my mom was sick, I became a person that I'm not normally. I'm normally a very optimistic person, but I tried to be very level-headed while my mom was sick because I knew that she was going to eventually pass from this disease. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, my mom is going to pass. I don't know when. I don't know how long it'll be, or how long I have with her, but I know that she'll eventually pass from this. But my mom's stance on it always was, I've got another 20 years. I've got to live to see my grandbabies grow up. And those were her pride, and my kids and my brother's kids were her pride and joy. And so as she got sicker and sicker, she never lost that mentality. Even to the last year when I was in Vegas, it was very hard for me to go to Vegas last year because my mom was very sick. And I had to have home health with her the entire time, checking in on her the entire time I was in Vegas last year. And I remember being very nervous to leave her. And it wasn't even a month after I got back that she passed away. As soon as I got back from Vegas last year, in fact, I had to put her in a nursing home because she just couldn't care for herself anymore. And I was going back to work with school, and I couldn't care for her during the day. So it was very hard for me to watch her get to that point and still have that mentality of, I'm not going to let this beat me. I've got God on my side, and I've got to live for my grandbabies. And so that was her mentality. Before she passed, even up until the last day that I saw her, she was still in those high spirits and high optimism that she was going to beat it. Even if the doctors told her that they weren't going to do treatment anymore and that they were going to let the cancer run its course, she still never let that get her down, and refused to accept her circumstances that had been given to her. So that takes me to Heidi's speech, and Heidi was very raw with emotions. I don't think she had had an opportunity to address really the Scentsy family as a whole about her mother's passing, and so I think for her, in a way, if I were her, I know I would feel this way. It was almost probably like reliving having to give her mother's eulogy almost, because she talked so much about her mom and how much her mom's story, she was a fighter, and she refused to accept her circumstances in life. She talked about how Alice was a young lady, and she was a flight attendant, and she was traveling all around and had gained some seniority at this with this flight attendant company, and back then you couldn't be a married flight attendant. And so when she got married, they told her she could no longer be a flight attendant. And Alice said, well, that's crap. I refuse to accept these circumstances. And she fought it, and she won. And so she was able to be a flight attendant even and be married. And later on in life, she decided that she wanted to go ahead and stay back from flight attending and just work the ticketing counter. And when she went to go back to the ticketing counter, they wanted to make her start over, and she wasn't going to be allowed to keep her seniority. And she was going to have to start back at the bottom of the totem pole and start at the base pay. And she said, well, that's crap. And so she fought it, and she won. And so they gave her seniority back, and she got her extra income back, and she was just a fighter all around. And I think Heidi was very proud of her mother when she was talking about those things, and she was talking about the legacy that her mother left behind. And her emotion was very, very raw. It was very moving, touched me in more ways than one. But she shared a book that was her mother's favorite book, and she said after her mother, or not after her mother passed, but while her mother was sick and dying, she said she looked on the shelf and she remembered seeing her mom's favorite book. Casey, quote me if I'm wrong. What was the name of the seagull book? Who was the author?
Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Jonathan Livingston Seagull, however you say it. Anyway, it was about a seagull who was different than everyone else. While everybody else was worried about, all the seagulls were worried about how to get food, he was worried about his favorite thing to do, which was all types of different flight. He wanted to learn everything there was to know about flying. And his family got mad at him and told him that he could never amount to anything because he should be learning how to find food, and instead of learning how to fly all these different ways, and that was never going to take him anywhere. And she shared a very sad story about this seagull, and of course you get crying about the seagull because you wonder if the seagull's going to make it and if he's going to survive. And really the whole point of the book was that no matter what the circumstances are in your life, whether it's a sick or dying family member, or you yourself are sick, or you're going through a terrible divorce, or you've lost someone that means so much to you, or you've just had a really bad day at work, or you just weren't dealt very good cards in life, no matter what your circumstances are, you can always find a way to spread your wings and fly. And that spoke so much to me because I have a very, I don't want to say I have the most powerful backstory, but I have a very different story than most people. And I haven't had that opportunity to share my song. And I think this really has inspired me to stay tuned, create a video to just kind of share my backstory and the things that I've overcome in my life, even at a very young age, when other people were accepting their circumstances and accepting that that's the way life was, and just living that cycle through over and over and over again. I chose to break the mold, and I chose to set myself apart from that cycle and break it so that I could spread my wings and fly. And that's gotten me very far in life, and I think that that can speak to so many people. I think it's about your attitude and the attitude that you choose towards your circumstances. Everybody has something that they've been through that somebody else might look at and say, I have no idea how you got through that. I could have never done what you did. And that can be your inspiring moment for someone else. Maybe it's somebody that wants to join your team, and that's a connection that you have with them. Or maybe it is just sharing your part of your story might be something that somebody looks at you and says, you are so strong, you are so courageous, I don't see how you ever made it through that. And maybe those encouraging words from somebody else is exactly what you needed to continue the fight and get through it. Whatever it is, being able to share your song and share your story despite your circumstances and rise above and be exactly who you are meant to be, It's all about your attitude, and it's all about how you choose to look at it, because everybody has something, and no matter what, you can always find a way to get through it. I hope I hope that I shared enough and that made enough sense and I didn't leave anything important out. But Heidi's message was very, very, very moving. And it really tied for me together the whole theme of reunion, which was share your song.
Mhm.
And it wasn't so much, I guess going into reunion, I really thought share your song. Okay, that's a catchy little theme for, being in Music City. But really, I was not expecting it to be so motivational to really just share your story, share your song, share what inspires you, share what encourages you, what motivates you. Share you with everyone that you know, because you
Mhm.
never know who that is going to impact and whose life that's going to change.
So I've been playing the Jonathan Livingston Seagull song in the
So when you
background
get the book,
here at the meal diner. Yeah. So I think, and that was the second time where that theme spoke to me. So the don't homogenize yourself. Don't cover up who you are. Don't cover up your bumps and bruises and the things that got you along the way, because you never know who they're going to inspire, and they are the things that make you you. So that was the second time that I noticed that theme as we went along in the week. Tuesday night was intense, right? Like,
yeah, and there was a moment when Heidi had everybody get up, and I couldn't even stand Casey. I don't know if you noticed I wasn't standing. I don't even remember who was sitting next to me right now. I think Jess maybe was sitting next to me. I couldn't even stand up because I was so emotional and so just full of emotion. And Heidi had everybody stand up and turn on their camera lights. She's like, if you've ever lost anyone that you've loved in your life, I want you to stand up right now and shine your light for them. And I just like, not just like shine your light like your phone, but like shine your light from your heart, from your soul, shine your light for them. And I couldn't even stand up. I couldn't even turn my phone on because I was so eaten up with emotion. And I just kept thinking about my mom and how painful that was for me, and I know how painful that has to be to Heidi to lose her mom. And Casey, I was thinking about you and how you had lost your mom, and I just, there's so much that it's so moving. Heidi is so good. I love her speeches. Every
yeah,
time I hear her talk, I love her talks.
it was crazy, and I noticed that I noticed that a lot of people who I knew had suffered a lot of loss didn't stand, and I think that everyone was just trying to get themselves together, like, just get yourself together so we can live through this. It was so touching. It was relatable. It was authentic. It's the things that connect us all so much to Heidi and Orville. If you guys who are watching us tonight haven't had a chance to listen to Heidi and Orville speak,
I'm going to go back and watch it again.
I am too. They're going to be available
Did you
eventually.
record that one?
Aaron's like, no, I'm not. They'll be available, and I definitely would recommend watching them. So after that, like, we're all like spent, and we're all feeling like, okay, I just want to go home and hug my mom. Then we all head over to the Grand Ole Opry for a good time. So not everyone. So part of our group went on Tuesday, and some of us went on Wednesday. So for me, I am not a country music fan, but the idea of going to the Grand Ole Opry seemed pretty awesome. It's something that I never would have done on my own. Even going to Nashville was like a town that I'd like to see, but it wasn't like really high on my list. So this is another one of those things that Cincy allowed me to do that I wouldn't have done otherwise. Where I know, Ivory, you're a big country music fan, and Aaron, how about you? Are you a country music fan?
I
Or do you
am.
have real cowboy boots?
No, I'm a real country music fan.
For real boots.
You know what? Don't hate my boots, guys. Don't hate on me.
No, I'm jealous. I didn't bring mine.
Don't you have them though? You have them, right?
I do, but
Yeah.
they're kind of, I need new ones.
Because you
Yeah.
use them. Yeah.
I need new ones.
So while we were there, who wants to tell the Lauren Elena story while we were there on Tuesday night?
I'll tell it.
Okay.
Okay, so Lauren Elena is, if you don't know who Lauren Elena is, Lauren Elena is this goofy girl that was on American Idol when she was 15 years old. Her and Scotty McCreery were on Idol together. In fact, they were the top two. So it was American Idol's first country finale. And Scotty ended up winning, and Lauren Elena came in second. But she was like America's sweetheart. Everybody loved her. She was 15. She was young and sweet and innocent. And then, time passes. She's still this oddball, goofy character. And so she comes out, and she has this song. What song was it? Something about
It's not her song, but
no,
It's
it was
an
a
old
You're Not Woman
cover
Enough to Take
song.
My Man.
Yeah, you're
I think it's Loretta Lynn.
you're not. Yeah, she was singing. Yeah, a cover song. So it was "You're Not Woman Enough to Take My Man." And so as she's singing, she's kind of looking out into the crowd, and she goes down the stage, and she goes to the front row. Well, in the front row, it was Grace, right? Was it Grace or was it Mary that was sitting next to Owen?
I think it was Grace and Owen.
Yeah, okay. Grace and Owen are sitting next to each other in the front row. And if you don't know, that's Heidi and Orville's youngest son and daughter. And so Grace and Owen are sitting in the front row, and she starts singing to him. And she's looking at Grace saying, "You're not woman enough to take my man." And then she kind of stops in the middle of the song. She goes, "I hope you're not brother and sister." And, of course, they start laughing. She goes, oh, my God, you are brother and sister. She goes, "Oh, that's so bad." And then later on, she starts singing to Owen again, and she's like, "Wait a minute, please tell me that you're 18." And he like shakes his head. She goes, "Oh my God, She's like, "You know what I call that?" She goes, "That's jailbait." So she was really flirting with Owen, and he was blushing so red, it was hysterical. She ended up going and giving him a kiss on the cheek, and I think that just kind of sent him over the edge. I don't think he went back the second night. I saw Grace there, but I did not see Owen there the second night from pictures.
No, Owen was not there.
Yeah. But she told him when he turns 18 to call her. So it was pretty funny. And then Scotty McCreery sang just 5 more minutes, like the very last song. And after Heidi's big spiel about her mom and losing her mom, and everybody's all emotional about losing their parents, he goes and sings just 5 more minutes, talking about how he just wishes he had 5 more minutes with his grandpa who's passed away. And, of course, everybody's waterworks goes off again on that one. Casey, did yours? Casey? Did she disappear?
She must have, but mine did too. So, yeah.
Oh, she may be frozen. But, yeah, that was everybody's. That was very emotional. Erin, did you get emotional with that song too?
I did a little bit. See, I'm not a crier. I am usually not a crier. The only thing that really sent me over the edge the whole night, I mean, once it started, though, it didn't stop, was the Cause Warmer, this catalog that kind of prefaced Heidi's story. So for any other
I forgot that was the same night. You're right.
Yeah, so if you have any sick children, don't watch the part about the cause warmer, because they showed a video about sick kids, and I had to look away because I was losing. I was losing my composure. Yeah. So
for those of you that didn't get to see it, Chuck, which is Orville's brother, right?
Yeah, that's Orville's brother.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's Orville's brother. He has a son who has autism, but he also has a lot of other special needs with medical needs with his muscles and some skeletal issues with his spine. And so he had spent some time at Shriners when he was a young boy. So Chuck was telling us the story of why this cause warmer means so much to him, because his son has been there. His son has lived this life and been graced by generosity and love from the community at Shriners. And he started to cry. A grown man in front of thousands of people, so moved with emotions that he can barely speak. I don't know what woman wouldn't have waterworks when they see a man cry. I was moved by it, and my kids have not had nearly the medical issues that, like Erin, your son has, and I mean Chuck's son, and I was actually fortunate enough. Jess, Brody, and I, and Christina, and Leah and Stephanie, we all got to actually walk back from the Opry with Chuck We were kind of hanging around trying to get pictures with Heidi and Orville, but they kind of cut us off and said it was time to go, and they kicked us out the door. So Chuck was just like, all right, come on, I'll walk with you. And he walked with us back all the way to the hotel. And so it was a nice little 15-minute walk that, you know, we were strolling. And Jess and Chuck actually were sharing music on their phones or something. And I was talking to Chuck's wife, and just great casual conversation with them. And his wife and I talked a little bit about the cause warmer and why it meant so much to them. And so that cause warmer, I think, is going to be fantastic. So if they show that video, definitely go watch it so you understand the importance and the meaning behind it, and hopefully can support the rallying to get some of those warmers sold too, so we can have a good turnout for them.
Yeah, that was awesome. I've heard Chuck speak. This will be the third time, and I never knew the connection between autism and his son. So that was so touching. I mean, he was really trying to hold it together, but just to have him share that story. I mean, it's one thing to have a child on the autism spectrum, but for them to continue to find out, you know, year after year, that there were other things going on with him. So I know what it's like to have 6 family members. I lost my mom too, very short period to cancer. And then my sister died of heart disease and was in Johns Hopkins for 10 months. So it means so much to have other people caring for your kids. So I can really connect to Shriners. And then, of course, you know, since he announced that they donated over $900,000 to
I just got
autism.
goosebumps,
Oh,
guys.
that's
Me
amazing.
too.
That's
Really awesome.
amazing.
Well, I don't know if Casey's coming back, but I guess we can kind of continue without her. She may be having, I know I've got storms in the area right now. I don't know if y'all have any storms up north of here, but after the Opry on Wednesday night, everybody was pretty exhausted.
Well, I think we should back up because I think she wanted me to share what happened Wednesday night at the Opry. So half of us
yeah.
went
Well, I was gonna talk about Wednesday, then go to Wednesday Opry. Yeah, go ahead.
So Tuesday, half of us went to the Opry, and then Wednesday the other half went, and I was the one that picked the night that the rest of my team didn't go. So I got to see a little bit different action. So again, Heidi and Orville, and it was just Grace on Wednesday night. We're sitting in the front row, and it was the same set, same song. So Lauren Elena comes out and is singing that song, and she told us that must have been a show before us as well. So she had picked out another sister-brother couple that she was picking one for that song, and she was so embarrassed. So she's like, I'm not going to pick on anybody tonight. So towards the end of the song, she did find a actual couple, and she did pick on them a little bit, so it was cute. So after she was done her 3 songs, or before that, before she sang her Road Less Traveled song, which is her new release, she was talking about the she knew that we had a warmer called Road Less Traveled. So people ran down and gave her samples, and then they brought her a catalog, and she sang her song. And the MC said, Lauren, you know, the president and CEO of Sensi are here tonight. Do you want to meet them? And she was like shocked, like starstruck, shocked. She's like, of course I do. So the MC brought them all on stage, and she about fell in the floor when she realized that she had sang that song to Owen and Grace, who was their son and daughter. So she like lost it. But Heidi and Orville brought up 2 Road Less Traveled warmers, which we all know have been on back order for forever. So they had them overnighted to Lauren, and they signed one and had her sign one so that she had her own warmer, and they gave her 3 bars to go with it as well. So I thought that spoke pretty big volumes about what they thought of her performance and the person that she was. She was so down to earth and so just wanted to be there to have a good time, and you could tell that she loved what she did and loved that she could be a part of our celebration.
She told us that needs to be our theme song.
Yes.
She told us that. So she just gave away her rights for that to be
That's right.
I'm just saying, she's got thousands of pretty
awesome song. It's pretty awesome. She's talked about how she struggled with an eating disorder and fitting into like what other people think you should be, and finally she just had enough and said, no, I'm going to be me. And that's what that song is about.
So that was number 3. That was number 3 of you should be who you are, show all your bumps and bruises. These are the things that make you you. Don't try to change to fit the mold. Just be who you are, right? That was the 3rd time that I noticed that theme coming through your song.
And that was unintentional, by the way. That one was unintentional, unplanned by Cincy.
Right. So Wednesday, so I my internet took a nap, so I don't know what I missed. But so did we talk about Wednesday when we met as the big group? Okay.
No, so that's where we're at.
Okay, so Wednesday we met as a big group. The energy in the room was really high on Wednesday morning. Everybody was on the edge of their seat. This is when they released the Harvest collection, the holiday collection. They told us what was going to be in our kit. They showed us the new Facebook party features and the ways that we're going to be able to use Pinterest in our business. And for anyone in our group, I posted that on the page, so you should be able to go back and watch that video. We're running a little bit long, so I'm going to start talking fast. Definitely check that out. After the reveal, we got to my favorite part, which was Mel Robbins when she spoke, and you guys already heard Ivory say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're going to hear. If you are friends with any Scentsy consultants who attended Scentsy Family Reunion, I'm sure you're going to be seeing that in 800 posts a day. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just do it. If you have the internet, which I know you do because you're watching us, go to YouTube, type in Mel Robbins, type in TEDx talk, and listen to her speech. It's very similar to the one that she did at Reunion, and I think that she could do it a lot more justice than we could.
I'll post a link too because I have it saved.
It's awesome. I listened to it before we went to Reunion, and I listened to it again before we went to Reunion, and then I listened to it at Reunion. So I've already listened to it 3 times. It's a pretty powerful message. It's kind of like our business. The rules to get things done are very simple. They're not always easy, but they're very simple. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Check it out. You'll love it. She was a straight talking lady, and the reason why I liked her when I listened to her is she was a straight talker. She was full of sass, and she cursed, if I'm being perfectly honest. she said a naughty word on stage at a TED Talk. How can you not love this lady, right? I just loved her all the way. So then we had lunch, and then the directors had a chance to meet for more Mel Robbins talk, and this was the most powerful talk that I've ever seen at a Scentsy convention, world tour, boot camp.
I have a question about this. Was this planned or was this completely spontaneous? What you're about to talk about?
It was spontaneous. So it was very spontaneous. So Mel Robbins came out and she kind of elaborated on her 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and how to get things done. And she said, I want to turn the lights up and let's take some questions from the audience. And everyone was asking her different questions. She asked questions about time management. People ask about time management and how to get it done, how to juggle being a mom, and running a business, how to work full time, all those sort of things. And then this girl stood up. Erin, do you want to tell this, or do you want me to?
I can.
Okay.
So this girl stood up, and she was super relatable. Like, she looked just like everybody else. There was nothing, like, crazy about her. And she said, so last night I was laying in bed, and I made a list of reasons why I think I can't do this well, and reasons and things that I think people think about me. So Mel Robbins invited her up on the stage, and she said, we're going to bust through this list. And so she's like, I want you to read the first one. And this girl at this point is, like, almost hiccuping. She's crying. She's, like, tearing up, and she's really emotional.
Visibly shaking.
Yeah. And she says, I'm not good enough, and no one would ever want to take a picture with me. I think that's what her first one was. And Mel Robbins says to the audience, who wants to take a picture with this consultant, with this girl? And the whole audience stood up, and everybody took their phones out, and Mel Robbins, like, had her turn around, and she took, like, a selfie with this girl with all these hundreds and hundreds of people behind her taking a picture, and it was so moving. And I feel like everything after that, it was one after another of these these things that you looked at her and you thought, why do you think that? That's crazy. Like, you need to get out of your own head, because it, things like, I'm not smart enough, no one would ever want to listen to me speak. And then Mel Robbins said, well, who would be interested in listening to her speak? And as we're, recapping on it, we're sitting here saying this was the most powerful, talk that Casey has ever heard, and this girl is saying no one would ever want to listen to her. So Mel just really like busted through everything on her list, and at the end she scratched it out. And I think what you're referring to was, at one point she said, well, frankly, this is just bullshit. All of it is bullshit, because this girl was amazing, and I think she was she a superstar director?
Superstar director.
Yeah, and she still felt this way. So I think not only was it relatable that, you have those moments when you feel like you can't do it, but to see someone else, and then, from a perspective, I was thinking, this is crazy, you're doing it, why do you feel this way? So it just made this girl's, experience just so impactful. Did I capture that? Did I?
I think you did, and you made me cry again.
No.
It counts for me. And you know what was very interesting, that I noticed on Facebook after that? So Barbie was her name. She was the superstar director that put it up. Her roommate for Cincinnati Family Reunion was Laura Goodwin, the winner of the Shining Star Award. Mm-hmm. So the two stars were roommates. So, you attract good people in this business. You stick with the right people and it gets you there. So that was the fourth time, right? That's fourth. I lost track. So that was the fourth time that it was like, just be yourself. Like, how many of us have felt that vulnerability and felt like we're not good enough, or this isn't for us, everyone else does it better? I know I've felt it a gazillion times over, and it stopped me from doing things like videos like this, or calling people on my team to give them advice, because I was afraid that maybe my advice wasn't that great, and
somebody
really
else
like
could give it better than you, so just let them watch that instead.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just one more time where it just reinforces that you are special. So after that, I was wrecked. I was a mess. And then we walk into the Second City Works thing, where we walk in and everyone's laughing and hooting and hollering. And so I stayed for about 45 minutes in that. And finally I was like, I can't, it's going to make me bipolar. Like, I couldn't get a handle on my emotions. I couldn't get into the moment, taking a little rest. But some of you guys sat through the Second City Works. And Wenda, what did you think of that?
I thought it was great, and it gave us the opportunity to do some real role play and learn how to work with different personality types. And that's key when you're trying to overcome objections. So it was great, and I got to connect with Kate, which it's so funny, because we were both kind of sitting there like, really, do we really have to do this? And then we looked at each other and said, yes, we have to do it. So we role played for a good time until I had to leave out and take a phone call. But I really connected with her, and out of the whole conference, and I'm glad you asked me this question, but out of the whole conference, she was the one person that I really didn't know. But for whatever reason, we made a connection. And I was like, I may not have ever spent time with her because she's from Buffalo, New York. But we connected on so many levels, and we were cracking up the entire time doing that role play. And I thought, this was so much fun. Because neither one of us wanted to do it, but sometimes you just got to push through it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just do it. That was great for me.
I love that. And I feel like Kate was a big star. I feel like a lot of people talked to Kate and were inspired by her, and I think she doesn't even know it.
Yep.
So after that, I headed over to the expo and got to check out the booths there. And so for anybody who went to World Tour and saw the expo, it was very crowded, and there were lots of people all at one time. But the expo here, they had it open for long enough that it was small groups of people at a time coming up to tables to ask questions. It was a lot of one-on-one. I know I went and spoke to Megan Clemens, who is one of Cincy's top recruiters. She's a superstar director out in Canada, has a huge team internationally. And I got to talk to her for 15 minutes, just one-on-one, about international recruiting and the perils that come with it, and some of the ways to overcome later. So I really love that part. And then I got to see Miss Ivory do her presentation on Facebook Party. She shared, she had her little headphone on. She worked in the crowd. You could see the teacher shining right out of her. How was that Ivory presenting?
Oh gosh. I was not nervous until about 30 minutes before the actual presentation time. And I think getting to sit with you and Jamie right before, I think it worked out perfectly because I think you guys calmed my nerves and you just made me feel completely at home. It was like I was doing this same, it was like doing one of these videos, but for people I don't know. I don't know. So it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Casey and Jamie had to come kick me out.
We were all finished our wrap up, and Ivory's still teaching along. Erin, what did you? I know you have to leave soon, but what were your thoughts on having a team member there and seeing it through their eyes when they come? So this was your first reunion, but having a team member there with you as well.
I think that was like my highlight of the whole event. I think at some point, you take the little nuggets away, and that's fantastic and that's amazing. But I think watching someone, like, I don't want to use the word buy into the business, but like it clicked for her. Like, she's sitting there and she was like, this is gonna change my life. Like, she's telling me. And then on the way home, she's like, I cannot believe how much these 3 days have changed my life and how this business is going to change my life. So it just was really incredible to watch someone who maybe didn't know how they felt about Scentsy, or didn't know if it was going to be a good fit for them, or if the values of Scentsy was something that they felt they were in touch with, just see it all kind of come full circle. And to just watch her excitement grow was just so amazing. It was really awesome, because I feel like I'm like at a point where I'm all in. So I was already there when I got there, but to watch that happen for someone else literally right in front of me, like, she was just like a kid in a candy store. Like, she couldn't get enough, and she was just soaking everything in, and she at one point she's like, why is everybody talking? I want to listen more. Like, she really ate it up, and it was amazing. And the Scentsy spirit, she caught the Scentsy spirit for sure. And I think that was definitely my favorite part, was watching that happen. All I could think was, next year I hope more of my team comes so that I can watch it happen for more people.
I think you felt that way last year, Ivory, right?
Definitely. I mean, I knew it because you had prepared me pretty well. I knew that it was going to be an awesome experience, but I think even more so this year than last year, Casey. I don't even know that you and I have even talked really about this, but I think last year it was just opening my eyes to the world of Scentsy and like how great and grand and big it could be. But I think for me this year, like, it was more about the connections that I had with people and feeling the family. You know what I mean? Like, not just seeing the business opportunity, but feeling the family and feeling the connections of not just my connections and relationships with my customers, but feeling that I have all of these amazing friends that I may only get to see once a year, maybe not even once a year, but I have all of these amazing friends that it's like having a soul sister, or a long lost sister or sibling, or a friend that you feel like you've known forever, and just having that amazing connection with them. I I didn't say, I didn't hug goodbye to you guys for a reason, because I couldn't, because I love you guys so much. I feel like y'all are my family, and it just grew that bond for me, and made me feel so much stronger, or so much more strong for this company, because of not just the business side of it, just the friendship side of it.
Yeah. And I think the thing that separates Scentsy from your other friends, and even sometimes your family, is that with Scentsy, people are actually rooting for you. Like, it's sad that in life people
Hallelujah.
always root for you. They always don't miss. I feel like the friendships that I made with these people, worldwide, they're always people who are rooting for me, and vice versa. So, okay. Thursday, we're up to Thursday now. So Thursday morning they had the consultant panel, an amazing consultant panel. Katie Farner, Jen Aldet, Becca Levi, Jody, all amazing. Shared their take on the business. They shared their take on leadership. It was amazing to hear what they had to say and give like little tips and tricks. And I don't think that we need to go into each one of them individually. They're probably things that you've already heard before, but hearing them live and hearing somebody say, like, you are the holder of your success. You can't depend on your upline to get you there. You can't depend on your friends to get you there.
Yes.
You have to work through this to get there. Like, I thought it was really powerful to hear them speak. And then we went in.
And not just that it's not you can't depend on your upline to get you there, but it also reversed that. It's also that you can't do everything for everyone. They have to want it for themselves too. So for your downline, you know, a lot of times I beat myself up over my downline if they're not, you know, wanting it as much as I am. And so I beat myself up. What can I do differently, or what can I do better, or what am I not doing enough of? So I think it was really good to see from their perspective that it's not always about you. Sometimes it's about them and what they want. They're going to get out what they want of it.
Yeah. And then John Addison spoke, which he was very powerful. Anybody take anything special away from John Addison?
Actually, he's the one that I connected more so with than, I know I said I talked about Orville too, but I wrote the most down note-wise for him because, and a lot of people don't know my full story either, but there's a lot of things that I put on a front that nobody thinks anything's wrong in my life, and that's not necessarily true. But there's several things that he said. One thing that really stuck out to me, he said, 99% of the stuff you worry about ain't going to happen. And as a mom, many of us know, you know, it's a scary world that we live in. And having two little ones, I find myself more worried now than I used to be. And for him to say that, it was like, okay, you're right. Like, you're absolutely right. But I can relate it to my business too, because I'm constantly like, well, I don't want to call them because what if they say no? Or what if they don't answer? What if they don't call me back? And, you know, that's one thing that stood out to me that he said. And he also said develop a peaceful core. And I can totally relate to that because I know when my core self is a wreck and out of control, then everything around me just crumbles. And I think finding a peaceful core is my number one goal to get to that point again in my life, because I was there at one point. I thought I was, and then life happens, and you know, to reevaluate things, you have to. So he definitely spoke right to me, I felt like. So he was a great inspirational speaker, and he has a book called Real Leadership that I plan on reading also.
Yeah, and so for everyone who wasn't able to attend, or even those of you guys who made it and want to listen again, he's also on YouTube. The speech that he does on YouTube is very similar to the one that he did while at Reunion, and I actually listened to it a little bit more this morning and took some more notes. So I would definitely recommend that while you're driving in the car or cooking dinner or washing dishes. Take a listen.
Hey, Casey, I need to jump off. I'm sorry.
Yes, I know you were stayed longer than you wanted. Thank you so much.
Good night, guys.
Bye.
Hey, Emma, I had to leave partway through John's speech to order the pizza stuff, but didn't he also talk a little bit about just being you and just doing you and not worrying about everything else? So Casey, wouldn't that be like number 5 for you?
Yep. He said you be the hero, the shining star for your kids is what he said. But in the same sense, we can look at our downline as being our kids. Like we're helping to teach them and to guide them, and don't give them. He made the comment about the like Superbook heroes and these pop stars and things like that. Like, don't let them be the hero. You be the shining star, and you be the one that your kids look up to.
Love it. I love it. He was definitely powerful, and I think, like I said, everyone should listen to him. So then we got a little break, and we got lots of pizza. We ate lots and lots of pizza. There's pictures of that too. If anybody wants to see all the pizza.
And I got to meet
Thanks for the
people
dinner,
that I've been
Casey.
friends with.
Yeah. So Emma met with some friends that she. So tell us about that, Emma.
So, we are in a mom group, and I know some other people are in a mom group, but this particular one that I'm in, we've known each other for 4.5 years, but would have never met in person if it wasn't for Scentsy. And two of the girls were there at family reunion. One of them was at Disney also, so I got to see her twice this year. And it was pretty awesome that we all really click very well together. And so we met up and had lunch together. So it was really cool that Scentsy was
Was it a
actually what
good
brought us
lunch,
together.
Emma? Like with good food?
Well, it was
Pizza.
pizza because the kids were there.
Oh.
One of the girls' kids were there, so. But we had fun. It was chill time, and we got to talk and just hang out and be together.
And I think that my favorite part was actually the next part where we all got to be together. And we got to share our takeaways and push each other push each other out of our comfort zones. One of my favorite people to push out of their comfort zone was Jada Girl. She tried to sit in the corner, and we pulled her right into the circle, and she shared a little bit about her Scentsy experience. How was that?
I mean, as shy as she appears to be, she really is not. We were walking through that hotel for days, and she kept pointing out people from last year that were speakers. I'm like, how do you remember these things? And so, for me as a parent, it feels really good to be able to share those experiences with her, because if it weren't for Cincy, I probably wouldn't have taken her on a business conference like that. But she gets to see and experience all of these things and hear all the speakers. And, with teenagers, you never really know whether they're listening or not. But she remembered every speaker from last year. Before the session was over where they announced the Shining Star, she had started following everybody on Facebook. So she was telling me all about, Nick, and I didn't even realize she was already on my Instagram, but it was so funny just to share that with her and hear her experiences, because especially with kids, when you're raising kids, period, but when you're raising teenage girls and you're constantly, trying to preach to them and saying the things, everything that Mel Robbins said, I say to her every day, but she actually listened to it and she could really associate with it. And just to hear Mel talk about the things that she had to overcome, to get where she is now. Anxiety, panic attacks, and things like that. And we talk all the time. I talk to Jada all the time about overcoming fears, because when I was her age, I was just a straight scaredy cat. I was afraid of everything. So to hear her, repeat back to me some of the things that Mel shared, it was amazing. So that's what really, aside from connecting with other people, that's what really hit home with Miss Jada and me. So.
Oh, I love it. Maybe when I come over to hang out with Mr. Wenda, he can tell me about it too. So then, I think that was my favorite part. I love that our Scentsy men shared in our circle.
It was a very bonding experience, because everybody had, although there were some questions that were repeats, it was from a different person's perspective, and so they had something different to say. I hope more than anything else from Reunion that was changed this year, I hope that is the one thing that they keep every single year, is being able to give that group time. And I understand that there are some people that have enormous groups that, probably wouldn't be able to do what we did as far as.
They did their own thing. So the way that it was, that each superstar director just had the room, and then you chose what you wanted to do.
Right. So I
some
don't know
people
that
gave
they would be able to do what we did, but I think just having, because Casey, I'm all the way down in Texas. I don't ever get to have team meetings with you guys other than what's online.
Right.
And I appreciate those, but it was great to be in the same room with everybody that is on your team and get to share and discuss. And I just thought it was fantastic. I know some superstar directors may have used that time for recognition or other things, but I think that just having that time together as a team, when you have people from all over the place, I hope that's the one thing, if they keep anything, that I hope that's the one thing they keep.
And actually driving home, that's what Jim and Billy said, that was like the most powerful thing for them, was to see the team together and sharing. So you guys made it.
Was Jimbo proud of you, Casey?
I mean, how could he not be? He would never tell me if he wasn't. I'm a lucky girl. I'm a lucky girl.
I will tell you, when you walked across that stage for the Superstar Director Walk, I don't know if it was just the lights, but I kind of think I maybe saw a tear in his eye.
I doubt it, but I'll take it.
But then there was a little tinge of disappointment because you didn't look his way.
I can't see. Stop. Oh goodness, you're gonna get me in trouble. So after the team meeting, we went back to general session, and this is where we got to see the incentives. So everyone knows we're going to reunion is going to be in Kansas City, and there's a 5-tier incentive period, and they're going to talk more about that as it comes up. One of the tiers is having Kansas City paid for, registration paid for next year for Cincy Family Reunion, and then 2, 3, and 4 are Punta Cana at different levels. So the one is they haven't released the details.
Level 2, yeah, they haven't really. I'm a little confused about level 2 myself.
They'll go about that, but level 3 is all expenses paid for 1, level 4 is all expenses paid for 2, and level 5 is all expenses paid for 2 to Africa, which I'm scared to say out loud, but that's my dream vacation. That's my place. That's where I've always, always, always wanted to go. So, yeah. So then there's that.
Top 100, Casey. We'll cheer you on.
I know. I'm going to cheer all of you guys along too, right? And then
make this a Team Blazing Supernovas party.
That's right.
The Blazing Supernova Safari.
Top 100 Safari, baby. So that's right. The top 100 point earners during the incentive trip will get.
That's what they said, right?
100.
Globally?
Globally, yes.
Right.
So all across every region, 1, 2, and 3. And then Orville gave his closing speech, which Orville's always my favorite speaker. He talked about the different qualities that are in a leader, and I know, Emma, you felt really moved by that. So do you want to share that really quick?
So I'm new to the company 8 months, so I jumped in head first because I wanted to earn Disney, and so I didn't.
And you did.
And I did. But I didn't really get into the whole backstory of the company because I was just so gung-ho about earning that trip. So this reunion kind of gave me that opportunity to see the backstory and, that the business side of it to kind of help my own business. And I like that Orville went back to the 3 things that Cincy prides themselves on, and that's simplicity, authenticity, and generosity. And that was kind of the core of his whole speech. And I wrote that down several times throughout his speech because it was those 3 things. I'm like, those are the 3 things that are going to drive you and will continue to help your business grow. So he talked about trust, and there's 5 components to trust that he looks at, and it's ability, reliability, honesty, judgment, and loyalty. And I have to say, my business has kind of been in a slump because I changed jobs, and that was kind of in the front burner, and then different things have happened, and I just haven't put my all into my business. So these 5 things that he talked about, he said, if you don't have the ability, then learn to have the ability. If you aren't reliable, then practice. If you don't make good judgments, then you're just lacking experience and you need to go get some. Honesty is a choice you make. And loyalty, you just need to be loyal, treat people kindly. He said you need to create an environment of trust, and that's what they have done as a business for Cincy, because they want us as the consultants and our customers to feel that trust. He spoke about why choose Cincy, and he said Sensi has survived a hypergrowth. So I had never heard this in a business term before. So he says that, and I wasn't part of the business, so Wendy, you might need to fill in some here, but he said that there was like a hypergrowth and then things like slack off. Well, they knew it was going to happen, so they did everything they could to minimize the amount of time that we were kind of in a slump as a business. So since he survived that and has come back out on top and are doing very well. He stated that we're a consumable product and we have quality products, which is important to customers. Like there's other direct selling companies that have tried to do what Sensi does, but he said no one does Sensi like Sensi.
I loved that.
I did too, and I was like,
Right.
that's right, that's perfect. And then he said others are interested in our success, and we're transparent. Like we don't hide anything. The company does not hide anything. They're very open and very down to earth with us, and are 100% real with us. And then the fifth one was their promise to be loyal to us as their consultants, to the customers, to help us become the best possible person we can be. And there we are with the share your song theme again. The be you.
Right.
That's right. That's right. And it was just a powerful note to end on, right? Like,
Absolutely.
Then you walk out of there with just warm fuzzies and just knowing what, it's a good guiding tool, like not just in Sensi, but in life. And I love that you walk out of there feeling like you can be a better parent, like you can be a better friend. You can be a better leader, you can be a better worker, you can be a better Sensi consultant. It applies across the board. And I think they do that on purpose because they don't just want us to sell the crap out of Sensi. They want us to grow. They want us to be better people. They want to add value to our lives, as my friend Kristen would say. So, I mean, and I feel like they hit the nail on the head. They accomplished all that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they speak right from the heart, and that's what you can appreciate when you go to a conference like that. You just don't want to hear like a boilerplate speech, you know what I mean? They speak right from the heart, which touches us.
Yeah.
And they're very, I don't know what the word is, they're transparent. Like Orville talked about an offer that they got, him and Heidi got, to buy the company out, which most companies, especially a direct sales company with so many reliant employees, would never admit that, hey, at one point in time, we had an offer on the table for millions of dollars to buy us out, and they would never admit that. They don't want to piss off their consultants. That's going to piss them off and make them run for the door, right?
Yeah.
But he was very transparent about it. He said, we had an offer on the table, and we did not take it because you are the reason we didn't take it. We knew that if they bought the company and we had this hyper growth, then these lack of sales where things kind of flatline for a little while is going to be absorbed not by the CEOs that purchased the company, but by the consultants that they're paying to work in the company. And we didn't want that to happen to you. So that, to me, I took that little nugget to heart, and I was like, well, that's amazing. I mean, when you're thinking business-wise, somebody brings an amazing offer to the table and you tell them no because you're more concerned about your employees' well-being than your own, that's true character.
Yeah, that's
loyalty, right? That's the thing that you look for, and that makes you want to do well in this company. It makes you want to climb the ranks. It makes you want to be among people like them who are remarkable. And you guys are all remarkable because you took time away from your lives and your families and made huge sacrifices to be there. And I am so glad that you've all got lots and lots and lots out of this, and I'm so glad that I had the honor to spend the week with all of you.
I wanted to tell everybody that did go to reunion, whether you're watching or whether you're on the training call itself, I wanted to tell everybody I had Nicosia with me, who is an exchange student from New Zealand. She's not my personal exchange student. She's my best friend's exchange student. But she was raving about all of the people that she got to meet this week. I
Oh,
mean,
she
Casey,
was?
yes. Did you not see how excited she was to say hi to you today? She didn't care I was on a training call. She just wanted to say hi to you. She wanted to say hi to Casey. Yeah, when she saw you and she heard, she's like, "Oh my God, Casey!" She's so excited.
She was so
I
quiet,
wanted to
so it's
say,
just like Jada. She was so quiet, and you don't know that if they're listening or not. But oh,
Right.
I
I
love
just
that.
wanted to thank you guys for being so open and so reception, or so opening. What? I can't talk right now. So receptive and open to her and to all of our guests that got to come that may not be consultants, the husbands, the children, the whoever. Thank you guys for just opening your arms to them like they're your family too, because it's like a big family. It was amazing to see how everybody was so caring for each other.
Yeah. I agree. I couldn't agree more. And I love when people bring their guests because I like to get to know not just the consultant but their families and what makes them tick. And you get to learn like little secret things about them that they don't like want to share with you. So when I meet Mr. Wenda, he's going to tell me so many secrets about Wenda.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that, we all post our activity on Facebook while we're gone, and you think people will get tired of you after a while, but I said, I'm just going to keep doing it anyway. But I talked to a friend of mine today who had been watching us since, through the whole week. And so she said, tell me what happened. So I went through the whole thing and told her everything that happened. And she said, yeah, I think I can do this. And I never would have guessed in years that she would really want to do Cincy because she's really not a big seller. I think she tried Mary Kay and so forth, but I was listening to all the speakers this week, and every time I thought of her, she's overcome so much. She lost 180 pounds after
Wow.
she lost all the weight. She had a brain tumor. She's overcome so many things. I'm like, wow. I'm like, she could be such an inspiration to so many people, and vice versa. Cincy changes lives. That's the one thing that you get out of this going to conference. Before I went to conference, I didn't even know there was a wellness program. You know what I mean? So you learn so much. You didn't either. You learn so much just by going to the events. And so I said, all of the people on, my friends, when they see my timeline, they're going to be so sick of me. But I'm just going to keep posting about everything that's going on because that really does encourage people.
Yeah.
The first Saturday morning, 7 a.m., I'm so tired. Janice and I are dragging the stuff through, setting up, and it was at least 95 degrees at 7 a.m. yesterday. And the first person that saw me said, "Congratulations on your 5 years in Cincy." And I was like, somebody's watching.
I love it.
Yeah. So
All
people
right.
are watching. That's great.
I get it. I get it. And we might need to talk to her some more. Maybe she needs to talk to us and tell us about perseverance and
Oh my
and
goodness. She is my role model, I tell you.
so yeah, maybe we can get her to share some stuff with us one day.
Yeah.
Whether she decides to join or not, I think that'd be awesome to hear
Yep.
hear her story. Emma, did you want to add anything before we head out of here?
I went to World Tour with Casey and a baby, and that was a lot of fun, and I kind of got the Sensi spirit there, and then I came to
So different.
Reunion,
So
and
different.
yes, it is different. Um, I'm overwhelmed by how everybody just loves and just is there together and wants to be there together, and just I feel at home.
Yep.
My heart is so full coming back from Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
So full.
Yeah. Yep.
It runs over. I feel like, and there is a feeling in the air, and it's something that you can't describe. I try every year to say, like, there's just something in the air, and I think that you guys might have just said it. It's love. There's just so much love in the air, and so much
Support.
want for good things for everyone, and you just don't find that every place you go. So, moral of the story is, everyone start saving your dollars now. I figured it out. If you save $20 a week, that's over $1,000 that you've saved, and you have more than enough to go to reunion next year. Get a piggy bank, $20 a week. It's worth it. It'll be the best money you've ever spent. Agreed?
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, can I give a testimony just very briefly? Last year, when I went to Cincy Family Reunion, I had this many parties booked for the month of July and August and June, or August, September, October. I had nothing. When I came back from reunion, I ended up with my highest sales for, I think it was 4 months straight, all 3 or 4 months, over $2,000 in sales. And I'm not saying that happened because of Cincy Family Reunion. I'm saying that I made that happen because of what I got from reunion.
Yep.
Had I not gone to reunion, that drive, that passion, that charisma would not have been there. So,
I totally agree.
$20 a week, folks. $20 a week for all that. All right, we'll see you there
and
next
a bag of
week.
potato chips.
Sweet dreams.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
guys.